Hi, I'm Erin Heaney of SURJ, and today we're talking double standards around immigration. Over the last week, we've all seen the truly horrifying actions of ICE pursuing the Trump administration's war on immigrants and civil rights. Last Friday, on the heels of the arrest of Ras Baraka, who's the mayor of Newark, in a visit to the ICE facility in New Jersey, masked ICE agents and the Worcester, Massachusetts police snatched a mother in another kidnapping-style raid. The agents refused to provide ID or warrants when confronted with a crowd of her really brave neighbors. We've seen scene after scene of these brutal snatchings and kidnappings. Masked agents breaking into car windows, disappear people off the streets to high security Louisiana detention centers, or in the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, to a brutal disappearance in an El Salvador prison. Beyond these, of course, really brutal high profile events is a broader war on immigrants in our country in general. And the Trump administration has canceled many of the longstanding protections for refugees of political violence as well. Monday, the administration announced that it was ending protected status for the many thousands of Afghans who were caught up in our 20-year war in their country, who were granted refugee status as immigrants to this country. But here's the kicker. On that very same Monday, this Monday, a U.S. chartered plane brought a group of other immigrants welcome to this country with huge political fanfare and a new executive order conferring them full refugee status. The group? Afrikaners, white South Africans. Afrikaners have a long anti Black history in the region by implementing and enforcing the apartheid system, and with many of them continuing to oppose the Black-led ANC and other pro-democracy and pro-racial justice movements in the country. Once apartheid ended, these dynamics only intensified despite the persistent economic advantages white people in South Africa retain. Despite being only 7% of the population, white people in the country own over half of the land, which makes all of this seem hypocritical. But there is a rhyme to this reason, and the Trump administration is showing their own version of a united front, a front that uses international white solidarity to shore up governing power. Remember, Elon Musk grew up in South Africa, and his family actually relocated there from Canada, drawn to apartheid as an appealing form of government and lifestyle. Peter Thiel, another leader in the techno feudalist camp of the authoritarian United Front in the US, he also grew up in South Africa, and his ideology is also deeply shaped by a pro apartheid logic. In bringing white Afrikaners to the US under false pretenses of anti white discrimination, Trump and the authoritarian bloc are able to deepen a false narrative that white people are under attack in the US and globally. We know that this is a strategic choice intended to continue to break multiracial solidarity. We understand that they are trying to break class solidarity by peeling white working people into white solidarity across lines of difference instead. And once again, this is why it's critical for those of us who are white to be organizing in white communities and to be directly refuting the lies of our opposition and instead fostering multiracial solidarity in communities that are white and working class. So, you all know that I never leave you without something to do. And one of the most beautiful things about the last months is that there's always resistance and movement popping up. Of course, immigrants have been on the front line of this fight for decades, and we've seen so many large mobilizations, including May Day just a few weeks ago. Last week, we saw protests in Worcester and across Massachusetts rise up in reaction to Friday's abduction. They have protested ICE's actions and as part of a rising resistance to ICE and the lack of due process from the federal government. SURJ is doing its part to fight back about this as well. So please join us and thousands of others this Wednesday, May 12th at 7 p.m. East Coast time for a mass call and discussion on what you can do as a white person to protest and fight back in the face of ICE abductions. You can find the link in the comments below. See you then.